Hello and welcome to your IBMI update for August 2024, a snapshot of news and views on what's been happening within the IBMI community in the past 4 weeks as reported by Proximity, your premier partner for IBMI application support and development. Towards the end of August, the American business processing outsource company DDC asked the question, is it worth continuing to invest in IBMI? The paper started by asking if our beloved platform is outdated or underrated, explaining that IBMI maintains a stellar reputation for scalability, security, and cost effectiveness. But in this era when new technology platforms and programming languages are consistently introduced, why stick with the legacy systems such as IBMI? After all, maintaining legacy systems and integrating them with more modern platforms can be challenging. And so ultimately, is it worth the investment? So DDC understood that discussion often revolves around what I would describe as a false narrative that IBMI is a legacy system and newer systems dismiss it as outdated. However, to counter these claims, DDC identified key advantages of the platform, the first being its reliability and stability. DDC recognized that downtime comes with significant costs, but with its inherently stable nature due to the integrated environment, built-in database, and high fault tolerance, IBMI offers far more reliability and uptime than many of the newer, trendier systems. Next, scalability and IBMI's single-level storage architecture providing a straightforward and rapid approach to scalability, explaining that businesses operating on IBMI are less likely to experience downtime, bottlenecks, or disruption during periods of increased demand. DDC also highlighted IBMI's prowess when it comes to integration, being able to coexist and link to an assortment of applications both on and off the box. And while IBMI is seen as a legacy system, its support for such technologies is about as absolute as it gets. In the white paper, DDC cite that IBMI's high level of interoperability, allowing organizations to adopt new technologies and explore new functionalities while preserving the underlying code base that's been the successful backbone of your business for many, many years. Next was the platform's ability to facilitate multiple cloud services, remote hosting, disaster recovery, hybrid, and of course its seamless integration with other services make it a great cloud bedfellow. And of course, finally, DDC recognized the platform's reputation as one of the most secure platforms available, making it invaluable for industries handling sensitive customer data and financial information. So all good, and no need to evaluate alternatives, right? Well, not quite. DDC identified some common challenges, the first being in a skills gap, which is significant. On the whole, we rely on older programming languages like RPG and CL that are rarely taught in college and university programs today. The white paper explains that as the education system focuses on newer programming languages, many experts in RPG are entering retirement, compounding the skills gap issue. This makes it difficult and costly for organizations to find and hire suitable candidates to maintain and develop applications on the IBMI platform. Next was cost. Now, I've previously provided details on one I think IBMI provides some of the lowest total cost of ownership. But imagine if only your central enterprise system is running on the platform when everything else is running on perhaps Wintel. Then some may say the costs may become prohibitive. Now, I'd say that there's more of an opportunity to move more things onto the Power architecture for all the reasons I've spoken about before, security and resilience, but I'll leave that to another day. Modernization challenges was next, and in this, DDC were addressing APIs and IBM's cautious approach to introducing new protocols on the OS due to security concerns. But the next big one for me, and I'm glad DDC identified it too, is culture, stakeholder resistance. DDC explained that for many, the user experience offered by IBM I feels outdated, especially compared to modern, visually appealing web and mobile interfaces. Recent graduates entering the workforce may never have encountered IBM I systems during their education, leading them to view the platform as outdated or irrelevant. Those unfamiliar with the system's benefits may assume it's obsolete based upon its appearance alone. But thankfully, DDC provided practical advice to help overcome these challenges. For example, for the skills gap, DDC have sensible suggestions such as training and mentorship programs for fresh college graduates who perhaps know PHP and Python best, or partner with specialist business process outsourcing firms with IBM I professionals on deck to satisfy your support and development requirements. Speaking of which, developments in modernization in interfaces, both mobile and web, will vastly improve the user experience, reducing stakeholder resistance, while additional developments or middleware should be adopted to resolve the API issue. With this in place, you have the tools, technology and support to educate the business that IBM I is a rock-solid platform that not only helps businesses grow to where they are today, but will support them in the future too. The white paper is available on the DDC website. Now, you may remember that in July, the CrowdStrike outage impacted tens of thousands of banks, hospitals, government and schools, but most noticeably airlines, with more than 5,000 flights being cancelled around the world as businesses struggled to restart their systems. Businesses around the world panicked as their newly updated machines failed to restart, showing only the blue screen of death. The problem was not a cyber attack as originally suspected by the mainstream media, but in fact with poorly tested updates to security software which caused failure. So 4 weeks later, in an article on the 400, Alex Woody asked, could a CrowdStrike outage hit IBM I? The answer, worryingly, is yes. Now, as discussed previously, the IBM I is inherently robust, we've heard this before, and is built as an environment in which safety is first. With the right software and setup, you can have multiple environments with planned deployments and rollbacks, plus additional high availability and disaster recovery instances too. But the root cause of a CrowdStrike was in poor coding, testing, and deployment practices. With CrowdStrike, it was a mismatch of expected fields, with a field value of 20 being exceeded by 1 to 21, thus creating an out-of-bounds memory read, resulting in a system crash. If developed with the parameters in mind, there wouldn't have been a problem. If testing properly, the error would have been picked up, but as Alex rightly pointed out, to compound the issue, CrowdStrike did not conduct a staggered release. Instead, they pushed the updates out to all clients simultaneously, causing the blue screen of death on nearly 10 million computers worldwide. So it would seem that CrowdStrike simply didn't follow the basic principles of the development loop seen here. Now, 4 weeks on, CrowdStrike have said that lessons have been learned and have pledged to fix the DevOps defected that led to the outage. These include better test procedures, more automated testing, development layers and acceptance checks, with deployment controls being more under individual customers' management to aid with staged rollout. So what can we in IBM I do to make sure similar things don't happen within our own environment? Well, other than follow the Dustin Whittle's infinity loop, we could first look at documentation. Ideally, this should be fully documented so you can de-risk your code base, understand your application and the impact of any changes made to it if not documented already. There are IBMI specific solutions out there that support this alongside graphical data modeling and the like. But to build online documentation and schematics of your applications, ensure code continuity while promoting quality. So it's something that we do strongly recommend. Next, and at the very least, a robust procedure with milestones and sign-offs for DevOps to ensure tight and measured control over development, test, UATs and deployment. Again, there are some wonderful solutions in the marketplace that can support these activities, including additional features such as automation and rollback. And finally, in the words of Vanilla Ice,
alright, stop, collaborate and listen.
Gain feedback at each milestone, understand what went wrong and put in conditions that stop that from happening again. And what went right and put energy into refining this. Then, frankly, rinse and repeat. So, could a CrowdStrike instance happen within an IBM enterprise? Yes, absolutely. But should it happen? Not on your Nelly. And finally, IBM released a raft of PTFs before the summer holidays. And the big news here is that there's nothing big. And this is a good thing for IT admin staff nervously looking at applying PTFs before jetting off on their summer holes. The biggest enhancements seem to be within ACS, with IBM listening to users and adding improvements in the GUI and enhancing data transfers too. If you're a SAP user, then you really should be applying 7.5, which adds further protection against vulnerabilities. And in WebSphere, there are some important fixes in the Java Management Builder, a fix for some deployment issues, and a patch me enhancements too. Not too much to write home about. And that's it for this month's update. And I do hope you enjoyed a wonderful summer holiday. For more like this, please see our blog on the Proximity website. But for now, I am Andrew Nicholson. We are Proximity, the IBMI partners that are in your corner. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.